In the third part of this lecture, we will talk about the performance of the bubble sort uh, implementation that we did. In this analysis of performance, we'll look both into the influence of compiler optimizations in the performance and the influence of the programming language that you use to implement the algorithm and the algorithm itself. So let's start with the effect of compiler optimization. The compilers that you use to compile your program have several different levels of optimization. If you don't specify anything when you ask the compiler to compile your program, there will be no optimizations applied, so it will be a straightforward, kind of naive generation of the code. Let's call the performance of that version none, because there are no optimizations. And let's normalize the performance. So the performance of our bubble sort algorithm when there are no optimizations applied by the compiler is 1. And now let's see what happens as we start turning on different optimizations in our compiler. So if I turn the optimization level 1, my performance for this simple algorithm increases by about 2.3 to 2.4 times. So it's more than double the performance of having no optimizations. If I turn on other levels of optimization in this specific compiler, I do not get much additional performance, and that's expected because this is a very simple procedure, is a very simple algorithm where the more sophisticated optimizations that I have access to with O2 and O3 do not have much additional work to do. Now, if we look at those three versions and we look at the number of clock cycles that are needed to execute the algorithm, the numbers are consistent with performance because performance is measured in time, the relative performance is measured in time, and you can see that the number of clock cycles reduces pretty much in the same proportion as the performance increases. So they are pretty much measuring the same thing. Now, if you look at the instruction count, you'll notice that the instruction count, that is the number of instructions executed by the program, it reduces significantly between no optimization and the O1 level of optimization. But then as I increase the optimization level, which makes the program more efficient, I am increasing the instruction count slightly. That may come as a surprise to some of you that I'll be executing more instructions when I'm trying to make my program faster. And there is a very good reason for that. Let me move myself to the upper corner here. And the reason is that the number of clocks per instruction reduces as I increase the number of instructions. So what's happening here is that the compiler is carefully choosing the instructions that the compiler is using to implement this code and using more instructions that take fewer cycles so that the total number of cycles may be reduced. And that's a very common thing that you observe as you do compiler optimizations or you try to improve the performance of code. So remember that CPI is the average number of clocks per instruction. So if I reduce the CPI significantly, even if that ends up being a slight increase or some increase in the number of instructions executed, that can be a win for performance. So this is what we can get. So the relative performance between no optimization and some compiler optimization is about 2.3, 2.4 times. Now let's look at the performance when I change the language that I use to implement the algorithm. So again, I was looking in the previous slide on C implementations. And my baseline is C with no optimizations. And this was the performance that I had when I apply optimization at levels 0, 1, 01, 02, or 03 in the compiler. What happens if I instead use Java to implement this code, and I use an interpreter. An interpreter is a software that will read each instruction in the source code while executing, and will generate the assembly instructions while executing the code. So that's what an interpreter. Python also can run with an interpreter. And if you do that, then what you have is that the performance is very, very slow. The code is very slow. You see that here, if that number is about 0.1, that means that the Java interpreted code is about 10 times slower than the C code without any compiler optimization. So this is to illustrate the penalty of using a language that has only an interpreter. But Java also has something that's called a just-in-time compiler. A just-in-time compiler is a compiler that runs at runtime. So when you start the application, the compiler starts running, and the compiler will generate the code for each function before executing the function. So it's not interpreting line by line the code. It's rather generate assembly code, but generate that at runtime instead of the ahead of time compilation that we're doing in C. So if I use just-in-time compilation in Java, I end up getting most of my performance back. It's almost as good as my C optimized version. Now, I told you when we start discussing the algorithm that bubble sort is not a very efficient algorithm. So let's look at another algorithm that is more complex than bubble sort. That's called quicksort. And let's look at the relative performance for all these different versions of C and Java for quicksort. And again, quicksort is a much more sophisticated and much more efficient sorting algorithm. So when I use quicksort, what I see in the trends is that the C optimizations at 01 and at 02 give me about 1.5 times the performance of the C with no optimizations. But when I crank up the optimization to the level 03, that in most compilers is the highest level of optimization, I end up getting almost 2 times the performance of my baseline. And now, if I look at my Java interpreted got even worse than before because this is a more complex program. So probably the Java is close to 20 times slower than the C with no optimization. And then when I look at my Java with JIT for this more complex code, the Java with JIT is still about 4 times slower than the C with no optimizations. So when you need to generate code that must be efficient, choosing the language that you're going to use to program your code in is very important. And for a number of languages, compilers are advancing and becoming better. This is data from quite a long time ago, data that is in your textbook. If we do this test today, the numbers for Java may be quite different. And it will be interesting to do this test for Python too. And you can do this test yourself in your machine. You can get a quicksort implementation and you can compile with the different levels of optimization. And then you can get, for example, a Python implementation of quicksort and do a similar comparison. So, for example, if you learn Python in first year because it's a convenient language to teach you how to program, and now you're learning C, you may be curious to look at the performance or the relative performance of C and Python for different applications that you care about. And that comparison you could do easily if you can use code that you can find directly in the web, or else you can create your own code in Python and in C to compare performance. You do need to execute the programs for a long time, so you need to look for fairly long sequences to sort, for example, to notice the difference. Now, remember we said that bubble sort is much less efficient than quicksort. So what happens if we compare quicksort with bubble sort for each one of these different compilers and see how much faster quicksort is in relation to bubble sort? And here the story is quite amazing. If I do no optimization, then the quicksort version will be 2,500 times faster than the bubble sort implementation. For the highest level of the optimization in C, the difference is about 2,000 times faster. And in Java, the quicksort can be 1,000 times faster than the bubble sort for the interpreted version, and close to 400 or 3 to 400 times faster for the just-in-time compilation. So it's very important that we learn the lesson from here, from this performance evaluation. And the lesson is that of all the classes that you take in your second and third year in computing science, 204 and 304 are the most important ones because they are the ones that help you select the right algorithm to do a task. And selecting the right algorithm can give you performance improvements of the order of thousands. But once you have selected the right algorithm, then the choice of language that you use to implement that algorithm is also important, and you should be aware that choosing a language that's suitable for optimization can lead to much better performance. So once you have chosen your algorithm and you have chosen your language, that's when you come into the realm of 229. In 229, we learn how to write assembly code, and we're going to be discussing throughout the course different ways in which we can improve the performance of a program. So the gains that you get from the types of knowledge that you gain in 229 are in the order of a few percent up to 100%. You could get up to 2.5 times faster, but not much more than that. But consider that after you have made the right choice of algorithm and you have made the right choice of programming language, even a 5% improvement in your final application can be significant in certain areas. The other lesson that we need to take from here is that you need to be aware that your compiler has these different levels of optimization. So the best way to leverage these levels of optimization when you are working with any language is during development, you're not going to turn any optimization on. So if you are writing your C code and you are trying to debug your C code, you're going to be doing that debugging using no optimizations, because if you turn on the optimizer during that time, the optimizer will significantly change your code and it will be very difficult to debug. It's almost impossible to debug a highly optimized code. So once you are satisfied that your code is functionally correct, it's doing the right thing, then you should turn your optimization on to the maximum before you deliver your application. And in 229, we'll be learning several different aspects of performance that will make you a better programmer for all programming languages, because you're going to understand much better how memory is accessed, for example, and the importance of laying out your data in such a way that is amenable for better performance. So some of the lessons learned that we need to recap here is that the instruction count and the CPI, the average number of clock per instructions, neither of them are good performance indicators if you look at them in isolation. So in the graphs that we saw in this last part of the lecture, we saw that when we look at instruction count, it was counterintuitive that we are increasing the instruction count as we are trying to make the program better. And but we did that because we were reducing CPI. So looking only at CPI or only at instruction count is not a good way to think or to estimate performance. The compiler optimizations are sensitive to the algorithm. If you have a very simple algorithm, the more sophisticated compiler optimizations will not gonna have much additional work to do or additional performance benefits to obtain from the code. However, if you have more sophisticated applications, there might be more opportunities for the compiler to optimize your code. The Java with the just-in-time compilation is much faster than the code that is interpreted by the Java virtual machine. And in some cases, the Java with the just-in-time compiler has performance that's comparable to optimized C code. And this is becoming more and more so as the just-in-time compilers are evolving and becoming faster. But probably the biggest lesson that we have learned from this performance analysis is there is nothing that can fix a dumb algorithm. So there is no optimization in the compiler, there is no tricks in the assembly programming that you can do if the algorithm that you have chosen to solve your problem is a bad algorithm. So the best that you can do for performance is to choose the right algorithm for your problem.